Welcome back to another episode of Brackin Blades Forge. Today we're going to show you how to make your first knife. And we've got a little knife design too. Bright eyes, happy face. Is it going?
Yep.
Okay. Welcome back to another episode of Brackin Blades Forge. And today we're going to show you how to make your first knife. Now for your first knife, it doesn't have to be a simple one. So we're going to go with a little bit more complex design.
Oh yeah, that's pretty good.
We've received a lot of questions about the goggles that I wear in my videos. These are the welding ones, and these are the non-welding ones. There's a link in the description below. Now when you're doing these cutouts for these stock removal knives, it's really important that you just take your time cutting them out. Don't rush this step. There's other steps you can rush to get the knife done. But if you're doing this build at home by yourself, there's really no point to rush at all.
It's a really cool looking knife. We used to offer a knife like this. We called it the Black Bear. Kind of revitalized it. We're going to re-release it probably.
Rejuvenated, revitalized. Sounds like we're selling
anti-aging cream.
This knife has not been approved by the Food or Drug Administration. It is so hot. The sweat is literally dripping down my pants leg.
Gross.
This is disgusting. That is pretty slick.
Yeah.
Alright, so now that we've got our template cut out, it's time to get our piece of steel, place this template on the piece of steel, and mark it out, either with a marker or some blue Dykem layout fluid. Today we're going to be using 8670. That's a 1/4 inch thick. This is going to be a beefy knife.
Are those magnetic on the ends?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay. We're not out of the woods yet. Alright, so an important thing about this knife that we want to make sure we do before we remove the template, go ahead and pre-mark where your pinholes go. So what we're going to go ahead and do now is we're going to pre-drill our handle holes and the spot on the tang. That way we get a good, nice, clean transition. And that way also, before we start dipping this thing in water, it's still soft. When you start working on your knife and you're grinding it and you're cutting it and you dip it in water, it hardens it a little bit. And so later when you go back to drill your handle holes, you're going to come up with a problem because it's going to be hard.
Pro tip, get yourself a countersink bit like this one. It makes it easier to drive the pins through, and it also gives the epoxy a little something to hold on to in the steel.
When you turn off your angle grinder, place it blade up, away from you and away from anything else. One of the things this helps prevent is when you set it down on the blade, if you have the guard on, it's kind of safe. But I've had a lot of people that set this thing down this way or this way, and it jerks the angle grinder. It can end up cutting you, exploding the blade. The other thing to keep you safe, make straight cuts. The angle grinder is not made to cut and bend. I've watched videos where guys come in and they do these arching cuts. They're not using a cutting disc. They're using a grinding disc, and they're just grinding away the metal in a curve until they get the shape that they want. If you're using a cutting disc, which is best for cutting, it's better to make sure you make straight cuts. You can clean all that up on the grinder. Now, one of the things we did when we were cutting was we kept it a little fat, so that way we can color in the lines when we go and hit the grinder. Here's where a lot of people might end up commenting and being like, well, that's not a first-time knife maker's grinder. And you're right, and my recommendation is it should be. I made this mistake. I started out with a 1x30. I made knives I didn't really care about. I started out next with a 4x36. I made knives I didn't really care about. As soon as I got a 2x72, it changed the game for me for knife making. If you're going to be a hobby knife maker, you need a 2x72. These Origin blade makers can be picked up with a bench and a flat platen, all for around $1,000, and some even lower. That's an amazing deal for a good 2x72. Or you can build your own. We built this 2x72 off of plans that we got from Old Hickory Forge on YouTube. Or this Grizzly ran me $675. It came with a buffing attachment, but you could put a different something over here. and it came with a 2x72 and a contact wheel. It's been a great grinder, and it will make good knives. Save your money, spend a little time at Christmas researching and looking it up. Just wait and get a good grinder. So now we're going to clean up a few radiuses on our blade. I'm going to use my small wheel attachment, and once you have a really cool grinder, you can get all sorts of cool attachments. But other tools you can use your angle grinder with a stone grinder on it. You could use a Dremel, or you could use a rat tail file. So the next thing we're going to do is hollow out the handle between the two pinholes. We've set up our contact wheel over here with a little bit bigger wheel. And what I'm going to do is just take this and hollow this out. You could cut out a hole with a grinder to create some weight reduction. You could also get a little bit larger drill bit, $4 or $5, and just drill you a whole bunch of holes in here to help remove some of the weight as well.
Do you need a drill press?
No, you could use a hand drill. So you're going to be able to hollow out the handle. We might take a little bit more time with the angle grinder. Again, follow my recommendation, save up and get yourself a belt grinder, which the ones that you come with, you don't need the small wheel attachment to do this. You could use one of the wheels off the flat platen to create your hollows in your handle. Yep. So what we're doing right now is just taking some 150 grit sandpaper after we went over everything with the contact wheel, and we're just cleaning up the spine. It's a whole lot easier to get grind lines out of soft metal than it is out of hard metal, and so we're doing this pre-heat treat. It's time to bevel this knife. Now we're going to use a tool called a tilt table that we've over time invested in and we're able to get. What this is going to set a nice flat surface against our flat platen here, and that way when we bring this knife up, we can just start here and come through and keep it nice and flat and create a nice even bevel. Okay, so far this is where we're at with our knife. We're going to add a little bit of a flare to ours, but I'm going to go into the grind room and I'm going to take care of it, but you're not going to see it until after the heat treat.
Now, if you don't have a forge and you don't want to get a forge, just heat your knife up with one of these handheld propane torches.
Alright, so the next step in the process is going to be to mark out and cut and get to rough shape our handle scales. So what you're going to do is take your knife. This is the method that I like to use that I think is best. I place my knife in the middle of the scale, far enough back so that I can make my bolsters the shape that I want. I take a clamp and I clamp it down to the knife. The reason I do this is because this is going to allow me to keep the knife straight while I mark my edges, and it's going to also allow me to drill a few pilot holes for the handle before I take it off so that I know where the holes go exactly. So can you see what we did to the knife? What we did was we took our contact wheel and we just ground in some radiuses on both sides, and man, this just made this knife look that much more aggressive. So now that you have your handle material cut, you'll notice I've got two different sides. Take your handle stock, make sure you've over drilled the holes so that your pin stock fits. Cut yourself 2 pins, line up the pinholes, and then clamp it. And then what you can do is use this one as a guide and sand the other 2 sides to match. It's time to glue up the handles. We've already test fit all of our knife. Put the handle on put the scales on the handle, pins through, everything fit good. I like to use BSI Industries Quick Cure Epoxy. Now in Texas it's a little hot, so you're going to want to make sure you mix just a little bit more resin than you do hardener, because this stuff is going to harden quickly. Lay it on good and thick. Take your pins, dip it in the glue, let the glue go into the hole, and then take your knife and get glue all over it. No, don't do that. Take your knife and put some glue into that swell that you had earlier. Place your knife carefully onto the pins. Take the glue, do the other side. Fill everything up with glue. Happy little glue. Place the knife on it, and then clamp it down. So when it comes to micarta and G10 finishes, typically with my knives, I've got some sort of really cool design across the handle with different jimping and things like that, and you really can't get in a little piece of sandpaper. What I found works really well, and it also increases the durability of the material, is to just soak it in some tried and true. Tried and true. And I get it everywhere I can get it. On the handle, on the metal, doesn't matter. So how well do you think you handle spicy food?
I mean, I like spicy food, but I don't want to start bragging or anything. You know, that whole pride goes before a fall.
Yeah. All right. So for YouTube today, we decided to spice things up a bit. Literally, I got these peppers, and we've been growing peppers in our garden, teaching our kids how to garden and grow and things like that. And so we've got a bunch that are ripe, so we're going to give them a shot. These were on the tag, it had 3 fires.
Out of how many fires?
I think out of 3. All right, so milk and bread make it better?
Yeah.
2 things of which I cannot have because I am lactose intolerant and gluten intolerant.
Starting to heat up.
Do I have to swallow it?
Yeah.
I think the more I chew it, the worse it gets. That's gonna come out bad later. Okay.
It's about as hot as a jalapeno.
That's how weak wimpy I am. I don't know why we just ate spicy peppers at 114 degrees outside. Oh man.
You're tearing up.
You dealt with it great.
Yeah. I like spicy food.
I don't.
Clearly, you're crying right now. Look at that to it so great.
Were there any seeds in yours?
Yeah, it was full of seeds. It just wasn't that hot.
Did you chew them?
Yeah. You want me to eat another one?
No. The world does not need to know how tough you are.
I'm only pepper tough.
So, I need to snort a loogie, but I'm afraid that if I snort, it's going to like light my sinuses up.
Blow your nose.
Ugh.
Your face is brighter red than your beard.
That's pretty bad. Alright, I'm going to go get some chocolate almond milk. Maybe that will assist.
So, I wanted to record your reaction to this news, but we're gonna have to do it again. It wasn't recording.
You're joking, right?
Yeah, I'm joking.
Okay, dude, 'cause my stomach just turned when you said that. Like, literally, it went upside down. My mouth was lit back on fire. Oh. Just the thought of eating the pepper again. Dude, my mouth is spicy all over again. What happened? This is supposed to help.
That's some quality content.
I've still got to mow the yard and weed eat later. I think I've almost made it through the spice.
Watch it hit me like 2 hours later.
Watch it not go through me like it does go through you and like burns your butthole open.
It's good. I've been there before.
So now we're going to take some perma-blue and we're just going to darken all the shiny that we shined up on the handle because we want it all to be dark. And then we're going to sharpen it and we're going to test it. I was really trying to be as tough as I could. It was actually really a very natural response. That thing was hot. It's still hot. When sharpening your knife, it's really, really important that you have a good, consistent, slow pull across the belt. You do one pass, one pass, one pass, one pass. Not two, then two. You're gonna get your edge misaligned. And then the next step, I like to use a leather wheel with some green compound on it. And I just do 3 or 4 passes per side until the knife is razor sharp. Come on, Plymouth, let's test our knife. My tongue is swollen from the steroids. Alright, so this is a piece of oak. This is a 1x4.
Oh,
She's fine.
Nick the this poor
This poor leg vise. So we got a little bit of a roll, but that was not from the wood. That was from the leg vise chop. I think that that's a pass. I mean, it obliterated that piece of oak.
and the one that
99 bottles of pee on the wall, 99 bottles of pee. This knife turned out great. I'm really, really happy with the way that it looks. I'm really happy with its performance. The testing went great. But we have a little surprise for you. We made 2 knives today. In an afternoon, starting at 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., we were able to make 2 knives. Now, we made a simple knife, and we made a complex knife. Now, why did we make the complex knife? We wanted to show you guys that your first knife doesn't have to be a simple knife. It can be if you want, but we also want you to know you can make a complex knife as your first knife. It's just going to take a little bit more time. Have the right tools, slow down, and take your time.
The only difference is cutting it out, the very first step. After that, it's the exact same process.
Literally, exact same process. Thank you for watching another episode of Brackin Blades Forge. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the subscribe button, the bell notification button, and head over to our Patreon, the link is below, and sign up for exclusive content. You'll have access to special tutorials, photos, chats. We get on there and we talk all the time, and we really appreciate it. Stay sharp, my friends.